Welcome back. At the core of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council's mission lies a commitment to enhance the ease of doing business in the country, a goal that has been pursued with unwavering determination by strategic precision, by identifying key pain points, and implementing targeted reforms. The Council has succeeded in simplifying bureaucratic procedures and, of course, enhancing the overall business climate in the country. These efforts have not only made it easier for existing businesses to operate efficiently, but have also attracted new investments in the country. Let's get talking. I introduced her earlier. She's the special advisor to the President on PEBEC and Investment Office of the Vice President, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole. Good afternoon, Dr. Oduwole. We apologize for keeping you waiting.
Good afternoon.
Yes, well, I'd like us to talk about the impact of the PEBEC 90-day regulatory reform accelerator. There's a lot of expectation around this, and how does it align with the focus of PEBEC on its own?
So the 90-day accelerator was started about nearly 47 days ago now. It started on the 20th of February. We usually do the 60-day accelerators, and we started off with about 8 indicator areas to ensure that ministries, departments, and agencies have the opportunity to have an acceleration, a sprint, to deliver some reforms that we've promised to the business climate. So in areas like reviewing of the service level agreements, transparency, efficiency, the bread and butter business facilitation acts that we measure annually, also the airport reforms, the seaport reforms, the agro-exports and manufacturing for exports. So there are different reforms under each category that ministries, departments, and agencies, about 16 of them, are working with the PEBEC Secretariat to deliver within 90 days.
But the PEBEC champions, that's the PEBEC business champions, direct support. We talked about this the last time we had you on the show. How well is this playing out, the support for 23, that's a $1 billion companies and 25 medium-sized companies to scale to that level? What is happening around this initiative?
Yeah, so just speaking to regulatory reforms in general, including the PEBEC Business Champions, you know, it entails a lot. It entails partnership with several ministries, departments, and agencies. We need to track what exactly it is that agencies have officially, and then we audit the process, what private sectors say is the de facto, what's going on in practice, and then we look at global benchmarks, regional benchmarks, for instance with the seaports, what's happening at the seaports all the way from Senegal, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Cotonou next door, and then we come up with reforms for that. With the PEBEC Business Champions, which are the largest businesses in Nigeria, we started with the 23 largest, that gross over $1 billion per annum in specific sectors. And then we have about 27 others loading. So the first cohort is 50 businesses. We started meeting with them to understand their specific pressure points. You know that the federal government has a number of interventions working on the business climate and on the economy as a whole. And our job is to make sure that their regulatory and bureaucratic constraints are solved, their legislative challenges, and the first port of call is always having the knowledge to be able to do that.
But I want to take you a step backward. And how worried are you that only 23 Nigerian companies made it out of 345 companies? That's looking at the report presented some time ago. And how are we doing to scale that up?
Yeah, so it's not a question of being worried. So the Nigerian economy, we know the structure of the economy. We know that MSMEs make up nearly 50%, and we know that the larger businesses make up another 50%. It's about proactively scaling. So yes, some other climes have a different demographic. They have larger businesses and maybe not as strong informal sector or MSMEs. We have a very robust and active MSMEs, employ over 80% of people in Nigeria. So traditionally, the PEBEC has focused on supporting MSMEs. But there's osmosis, there's a value chain that larger businesses can get the economy to move quicker. So we'd like to help them to scale regionally and globally as well. So it's a targeted intervention at those specific companies to deliver for them, to enable them to have a backward integration effect and pull the whole MSME ecosystem along.
Talking about the MDAs, which you also work with, my question really would be, what's the compliance with the executive order and, of course, through the BFA 2022, it's been codified into law. How well are they keen into this? We see some states even having their small judiciary spaces where they can address business issues. How are they complying, both states and ministries, departments, and agencies of government, with what you're doing?
So the Business Facilitation Act 2022 codifies Executive Order 001, which speaks to efficiency and transparency and public service delivery, amongst other things. And we've been tracking the delivery and the compliance of various MDAs through a transparent methodology for quite a few years now. We've delivered eight half-year reports, and we're about to release the 8th full-year report at the beginning of this quarter. In the next few weeks, the draft was actually just ready a couple of days ago. Compliance is varied. You have some agencies that have been working systematically and doing quite well on the methodology. You have other agencies that are a bit less compliant, whether it's in terms of submitting, so we don't really know officially what their position is, or in terms of what private sector has said in terms of triangulation. We also have a big element that is the mystery shopping or the physical inspection, the Secretariat doing the due diligence of going out to the street. So the combination will say what the whole report for 2023 was. Compliance is varied. It depends from agency to agency. Some agencies have been doing well, while others have more work to do.
Great stuff. Reports also shows that, through that PEBEC, you have unveiled more than 180 reform programs since 2006. Not only youth-owned businesses, but just asking you, can we get breakdown of maybe notable impact of some of this instituted reforms?
No, not youth-owned. We're agnostic. We work with small and medium-sized, small and medium-sized enterprises, and we actually work on a systemic intervention to make sure that every MSME, you don't need access to power. We work on things like registering your business all the way to paying your taxes, visas on arrival, things like that. So yes, we have over 180 verifiable reforms that we've implemented since the Secretariat kicked off in October of 2016.
The issue of you working in partnership with state governments was also brought up during our last discussion. How supportive have they been? Because we still see the reports sometimes, not all of the states, it's not so easy to do business in some states of the Federation. So how are you getting along, letting them understand that the ultimate goal is to make the environment more conducive, attract more investment?
So the PEBEC collaborates with the National Economic Council. They're both chaired by His Excellency the Vice President. And I must say we've had tremendous support from state governors. I mean, this is the third cohort of governors that have been partnering, whether through the Nigerian Governors Forum or through the NEC with the PEBEC. And the work has been going progressively better. It's not a magic one. But in terms of buy-in and plugging into the agenda, I would say we've had a lot of support from state governments. The World Bank with the Nigerian Governors Forum Secretariat and also the Home Finance Department of the Ministry of Finance, we've been working on a program. It's States Business Environment Regulatory Reform. It's called the SABRE. And there's $750 million on the table for states to get a reimbursement for reforms that they've implemented. And that's also along with the PEBEC-NEC collaboration, Ease of Doing Business. You know, we've released a subnational Ease of Doing Business report, 2 iterations of that report, March 2021 and March 2023. So the 3rd iteration of that report will be released in March 2025, and the process kicks off this month, going around the country, stakeholder engagements, collecting the data, and of course doing the analysis.
almost finally, before we let you go, recently you said at an event that government advocates inclusion as tool for economic prosperity. Now, can you tell us how really inclusion can help us achieve the expected inclusive growth and prosperity that we've been talking about? How does inclusion help us achieve this?
Well, you know, the thing about inclusion is that you have to move with your best people forward. The country, the size of Nigeria's economy, cannot afford to exclude any group, cannot afford to exclude women, cannot afford to exclude youth, cannot afford to exclude older people, diversity really goes hand in hand with getting our best selves forward. So we've also always said, of course, March, we talked about inclusion in the gender lens. But any way you slice it, the PEBEC intervention is about making sure that micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises are fully included in economic discussions and debates, to make sure that the reforms give an agenda, a systemic release for them to be able to really extrapolate in productivity and competitiveness. We really want our MSMEs to be able to export around the continent, to be able to participate in AFCFTA, to be able to generate more jobs. That is where you have the inclusive growth. If we focus on only one sector of the economy, you don't get that inclusivity. Needless to say that a lot of MSMEs are youth-owned, are female-owned. A lot of them are more informal, trying to get them more structured. So those are the kinds of interventions that the PEBEC has traditionally worked on and will continue to work on.
All right, before I let you go now, what more should we expect? Because you have a lot considering President Bola Tinubu's drive for investment and all. What should Nigerians, business environment, expect from PEBEC, short, medium to long term?
Well, I'll give in the short term because it kicks off today. The Omnibus Bill 2.0, we want to hear about legislative reforms. We want to hear those legislations that are particularly problematic for businesses of all sizes and all sectors. We want you to send in your contributions with your justifications. If you know what you would like to see from other climates, please let us know. Let's co-design the Omnibus Bill 2.0, so we send it to the 10th National Assembly. I think that's our shortest term intervention. We also continue to push on the regulatory reform accelerator that ends on the 20th of May, and encourage ministries, departments, and agencies, because at the end of the day, their success is our success, and we deliver for Nigerian businesses. The third sort of medium-term thing to expect is to really look out for that subnational ease of doing business report that comes out in Q1 of 2025, because it has a very robust methodology, and we go around the country speaking to businesses of all shapes and sizes in targeted sectors. That gives business owners and investors critical information about where they can lay their businesses, where to find resources, whether human resources, where you have the best enabling environment around the country. And states continue to work progressively at making sure that their business environments are more competitive. In the longer term, there are a number of projects that the administration will be looking to implement, like the single window. There's just so many things that we need to do. You know, the members of the council are also the honorable ministers responsible for power, responsible for works, responsible for information, trade and investment. So there's so many things that as administration, we have the 8-point agenda that His Excellency Mr. President has mandated the entire government to deliver for the people of Nigeria.
Indeed. We'll keep a tab on this. I must thank you again so very much for your time on the show. We apologize for the delay. Like I said, it won't happen again. We hope we will invite you. You'll honor our invitation. We're so sorry. And thank you so much.
I don't know about that. You're welcome.
Off camera. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day. I know you have a lot to do. Thank you, Dr. Oduwole. All right there. Interesting conversation.